You're listening to the Why Boarding School podcast, broadcasting around the world. Join us as we promote independent boarding schools throughout the United States and Canada with our invited guests. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jeffrey Quebec.
Welcome to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and today I'm joined by the Chief Enrollment Officer at Hebron Academy in Hebron, Maine, Jack Sweeney. Welcome, Jack. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, glad to be here.
There's a rich history dating back to the charter date of 1804, as Hebron Academy is among the United States' oldest endowed boarding schools. Originally for both boys and girls, the school became an all-boys school in 1922, and then coeducation eventually returned to the campus in 1972. So, Jack, perhaps you can start off by giving our audience a brief overview of the number of students at Hebron Academy, the grades you offer, where the students come from, etc.
Sure. So we have exactly 200 students at the school right now, pretty evenly distributed between girls and boys gender. They're coming from 28 different countries, 16 different states. So with an enrollment at 200, it's pretty good number to have for diversity throughout the world.
And the grades you offer?
We offer 6 through 12 and then a postgraduate year. 6th, 7th, and 8th is our middle school, and then we go on to the high school.
Great. And Jack, is boarding offered at all those grades?
Boarding is offered 7 and up.
Awesome. And so what is the academic curriculum like at Hebron Academy?
It's a college preparatory curriculum like most other boarding schools or independent schools. The kids take 7 classes a day, 45 minutes long. Most of the students will take 5 to 6 classes. They'll have a free period. The academics, with the long history of the school has been excellent. College placement and all that has been really ramped up. So the kids, they work hard. We do have a learning center as well that helps kids that are different kinds of learners. And so you can be very successful here no matter where you are on that spectrum. And
Jack, I assume you're referring to it's the Hebron Academy Center for Academic Excellence?
Yes. Yep.
Can you share a little bit about that and how that works?
Sure. So it's actually in our an old building, our old library. It's 3 floors. There's some classrooms in this building as well. And I'm telling you about the building because it's a little bit different. It ends up being more of a study during the day kind of place where the kids can go. Now, we require some of our students to go 4 times a week, twice a week. There is an additional charge for that, and that could be for any kind of learning services that they need. What's cool about this place, about the Academic Center for Excellence, is that it's open to every single student. So you can go no matter what. You can go and get extra help. The department chairs spend periods there during the day. If you're writing a paper and you have writer's block, you can go in there and get some help. So the fact that all 200 students have access to it, although some of them we do have to make go, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, certainly what a great resource for the students.
Yes, definitely.
So Jack, can you tell me a little about the visual and performing arts offerings at Hebron?
So we have the normal painting, drawing, ceramics class. What's been very popular here is our digital marketing, our digital classes, printmaking, photography. In the world we live in today, the students, the young ones, they know how to do videos and always on TikTok and all the other social media platforms. We do have a theater program. It's in a cool building. It's called the Page Center for Arts. It actually used to be the athletic center, so the gym floor is still down. So it's got that kind of unique feel to it. Definitely touches the alums as far as, that's where they played basketball or that's where they lifted weights. So in this building, they're going to have those art classes, the music classes as well. And then a lot of the students will break out and do band and have different kinds of musical bands and perform throughout the year. So they definitely have the ability to continue or even learn how to play an instrument or learn how to do something in the arts.
That's nice. So it sounds like there's opportunities at all different levels for the students.
Correct. You can also take it after school too. So there's an extracurricular part of that as well.
Okay. Are there any special signature programs that are offered at Hebron Academy?
We have it's located in the Caneb Engineering and Science Building. It's a newer building on campus. We offer engineering, 3D printing, capstone classes where the students really have hands-on. So you get that kind of beginning part of engineering, and then you get to take it as you move along. That also has an after-school component where they can build hydrogen cars. So it's amazing. We didn't have this kind of class or this kind of technology when we were in school. So I go in there all the time with tours, and just listening is like, and watching the kids do what they do is amazing.
Oh, it's awesome. The opportunities that they have nowadays is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You mentioned capstone. Is that something that every student does? Is it required? How does that work?
The teacher that's in charge of it could probably do a better job of explaining it, but it's basically a class where they have to take a product or they have to invent a product and they have to kind of expand it or make it better. And so the students in there, if we were talking to the teacher right now, you'd say half of the kids don't end up finishing it. The other half do, and they end up bringing it on. So we had a young man from Brazil. He's a freshman at Northeastern. His dad was a surgeon in Brazil, and he created prototypes for surgical devices, and it's patent pending now. So the young man is going to be pretty successful as a freshman in college at Northeastern.
That is awesome. Oh, cool. So, Jack, how about athletics? Is every student required to play a sport each season? And also, what are some of the athletic offerings that Hebron has?
So all of the students are required to play, we call them sweats or sports, 2 sports throughout the year. The third season, I would say 75 to 80% of our students are playing a third sport. Not required, but they do it anyways because they want to be on a team. They want to learn how to maybe start a new sport or really try to build around the community so that they're successful. Hockey is probably it is the oldest sport on campus, over 100 years. Boys and girls, we're really trying to rethink how we do that this year. We've got basically all of the basic sports as far as football is 8-man right now, cross country, soccer for both boys and girls and middle school, basketball for boys and girls and middle school. Lacrosse, I'm the head lacrosse coach, so we're looking forward to that. Girls lacrosse, and then track and field in the spring. Baseball as well. Softball it's kind of one of those sports where you need obviously enough people to play. We just didn't have it in the last couple of years. And then, Jeff, we do this cool, we have an outdoor education program that can count as one of those sports. Kids go mountain biking, hiking the trails, learn how to camp, do all that in the fall. And then we have winter pursuits in the wintertime where the students go up to Sunday River up in Bethel for on Wednesdays and Fridays are half days in the winter, so they get to go skiing. And then on Sundays, anyone at the school can go. And that's in addition to our competitive ski team.
That's awesome, especially with the beautiful outdoor surroundings that you take advantage of that and afford the students those wonderful opportunities.
Correct.
So go Lumberjacks, right?
Go Lumberjacks. Ring the bell if you win.
Okay, nice. Hopefully that bell's ringing a lot this year.
I hope so. I hope it continues.
Good stuff. Awesome, Jack. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about talking about Hebron Academy in Hebron, Maine.
Do you have any questions or guests that you'd like to see on an upcoming Why Boarding School podcast? You can contact us directly through our website at whyboardingschool.com. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and I'm joined by the Chief Enrollment Officer from Hebron Academy in Hebron, Maine, Jack Sweeney. And Jack, as we continue our conversation, perhaps you can share with our audience what's a typical school day like at Hebron Academy?
So the students wake up 7:30 in the morning, or by 7:30. They're at breakfast until about 8:30, and then their day really kind of kicks off 8:30 to around 12 o'clock, and then they go to lunch. We have one lunch period, and then they go back to classes, and they're done by 3:30. And that's really when the after-school sports start, typically right around 4, go until about 5:30. Then they have some dinner. They've got a little bit of free time, and then a lot of kids will spend it in the weight room or in the gym. Or catching up on talking to parents or whatever they decide to do. And then they go right into study hall, and then lights out is based on what grade you're in. In our middle school dorm, we have tech turn-in and some different rules for them because they're a little bit younger. And so it's a pretty jam-packed day throughout the week. The students meet with their classes at least 4 times a week. Obviously, in the wintertime, as I explained earlier, we have half days on Wednesdays and Fridays, and then in the fall and spring, we only have half days on Wednesday. So we do not have Saturday classes either. So the kids are off and running to sports and doing different things on Saturday.
Yeah, so talking about Saturday, can you share with us what the weekends are like at Hebron Academy? Are there events on campus, different activities or clubs meeting, or maybe perhaps trips off campus?
So we do a lot of different things on campus. We try to use, obviously, the outdoors, unless there's 12 feet of snow out there. But they go on trips. They'll go to Portland. They'll go to Boston. They'll go to the surrounding areas to catch up on some shopping, maybe restock their drinks or food, snacks that they have. So we try to get the students off campus as much as possible to really kind of experience what Maine is all about, surrounding areas. And then, as I said earlier, Sunday, I would say we send up about 3 or 4, maybe 5 buses to Sunday River, and all the kids go skiing. So that's pretty much their Sunday, with some trips that for kids that don't ski go on.
Very nice. Seems like certainly a busy weekend.
Very busy. Very busy.
So how about the all-important question that students always want to know about the food? What are the meals like on campus? Are they served sit-down? Are they buffet? Are they required? How does that work?
So they're buffet style. Students get their food. They go and sit with their friends. There's no kind of sit-down or formal dining like at night at some schools have. The food, if you ask the students, they're going to say it's okay. I would say you have a hard time going into the dining hall not finding something that you want to eat, whether it's the salad bar, the sandwich bar, a soup. They do a special kind of, at every meal, they'll do a special kind of pasta or something like that. And then obviously the hot food line will have your typical starch, protein, and vegetable. So I think the food's pretty good. It's, kids are kids. They complain about a lot of food at a lot of schools, but it's fresh. It's kind of that whole environment. It's great going in there at 12 o'clock because all the students are in there, and you can really see the community together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you tell us a little about dorm life? What's dorm life like at Hebron?
So we have 3 dorms. We have a girls' dorm, a boys' dorm that houses our 10th through PGs, postgraduates, and then we have a middle school dorm that's 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Everyone has a roommate. I would say almost everyone has a roommate. Typical dorm room, a lot nicer than I had when I went to college. One of the things that we try to do is connect the roommates to first by grade and then by interest, whether it's a hockey player or a basketball player, football player, or arts as well. We don't always get it right, but for the most part, the students have to learn to live with who they have so that when they go to college, the same thing kind of happens their first year.
And so is there an advisor system at Hebron?
There is an advisor system. I happen to be an advisor of some PGs, 6 PGs, and every faculty member here is an advisor of usually between 7 and 9 students. We meet once a week. We sit together at community meeting. We know everything that's going on. I tell the parents, in my role as in admissions, I tell the parents, you can definitely call and email the teachers, but the advisor is going to be one of the most important persons for you to count on and know. They will know your child. They will know who you are. My advisees come into my office all the time, and we just sit there and talk, or they ask me for help for something like that. So that's the part of the community that's awesome, is that you have someone to go to get some help or just talk.
So do these advisory groups, do they remain the same throughout your tenure at Hebron, or they rotate, or how does that work?
So they usually, you'll stay with the same advisor throughout your time here. Obviously, me doing PG, I get new ones every year, so it's a little bit different. But you have them all the way up. Great college recommendation letter because they know who you are. You can suggest or ask to move advisors, but we try to keep the students with the advisor for their whole time here.
So certainly by the time they do graduate, there's a really strong bond between that student and their advisor, I imagine.
Definitely. And you can see that at the senior dinner. You sit with your advisor, you sit with your advisees, and your advisor's there with their parents, and it's like you've known each other, for a while, and you get to kind of say goodbye to them at that senior dinner.
Yeah, quite powerful.
Yes, very much so.
So would you say, is there a typical Hebron Academy student?
I don't. That's a great question, and I don't think there's a typical. I think it's a wide range of different learners. Athletics is a huge part of Hebron Academy. It always has been. So we do have more athletes here than we do than not. But there's not necessarily a typical, because we have the learning center, because of the different classes we offer. These students are allowed to come in. We're allowed to, take them and put them in their right place where they need to be. So not necessarily a typical student.
Okay. All right, Jack, are there any cool traditions at Hebron Academy that may be unique from other schools, or perhaps there's that one tradition you hope always remains part of the school?
Yeah. So yes, there's a path. It's called the senior path that leads from the chapel where we have community meeting all the way down to the bell. And I'll talk about convocation and graduation for a second. They line the senior path with all of the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, and the 12th graders will walk through with the faculty. They'll ring the bell when they graduate. They'll ring the bell at convocation. So the bell, as we talked about earlier, the bell is significant and kind of saying the start of the school year. If you win a game, you get to go out there and do that, or you win even like Model UN or something like that, the math club. And then at the end of the year, the seniors ring the bell, seniors and PGs ring the bell to kind of say this year's over.
Oh, that's great. So certainly that bell has some strong significance in the community.
It does. It does.
So before we mention admissions, is there anything about Hebron Academy that we didn't discuss that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I think, if you look at the history of Hebron and we've had Mr. Phillips is our head of school. He's been here 3 years. We've got some new administration coming in. Hebron's really kind of turning the corner. Last year we were a little under enrolled. Could blame it on the pandemic or what have you, but we're going in the right direction. We've hired a couple new hockey coaches, both boys and girls, some other coaches that are really doing some recruiting. So, Hebron is not necessarily has been the first choice of people out there in the last couple of years, but I know we're going to talk about admissions, but our applications, our interest is on the rise for sure.
That's awesome. Certainly seems like a great time to be a lumberjack.
Definitely.
So if someone is interested in Hebron Academy, how might they go about starting the admissions process, Jack?
So most of the time, people will fill out an inquiry. We follow up. We have some additional admissions people. We have an international admissions person, and they follow up and try to get them either on campus or do a Zoom interview. And then we push them towards the application, and we take our general Hebron application, and then we also take the SAO application as well. And really try to follow them all through the process and help them until they're accepted, enrolled, and then really that's when it gets to be a lot of fun, because now you're like planning and you get to see who's here, who's going to be here, and the student body.
That's great. So you see the sort of the fruits of your hard labor and hard work come to
you do.
Light.
You definitely do, and it's great when they all come on campus for registration. You're just like, okay, now I got to do this again.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Jack, what is the website address?
www.hebronacademy.org.
Perfect. Hebronacademy.org. Well, Jack, this has been great. I've enjoyed our conversation, getting to learn more about Hebron Academy and share with our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Jack Sweeney, Chief Enrollment Officer, Hebron Academy in Hebron, Maine.
Thank you for listening to the Why Boarding School podcast. We look forward to you joining us for our next episode. Please remember to subscribe to the Why Boarding School podcast and help us spread the word. Until next time.